Hello, my name is Seth Vandeveer, and this is my presentation on level design with procedural generation. Procedural content generation, also called procedural generation, those can be used interchangeably. It's the creation of content using an algorithm. These algorithms utilize randomness to create structured data following a general trend set by a designer. In games without procedural generation, assets for a game are created manually by designers. They develop a user experience filled with intention, specifying every little detail. All of this is done during the long period of development of a video game. In contrast, procedural generation happens at runtime, which results in different experiences for each player. Here's how it relates to level design specifically. Level creation is actually one of several ways procedural generation can be used. It takes on the role of the designer, making some processes faster while also limiting the precise control the designer usually has over some aspects of the game. Procedural content generation can be used for a bunch of different things, but here's some examples: enemy spawning, level layout, loot drops, and terrain. And here's kind of the main idea of my presentation. While procedural generation has limitations, designers can utilize it for its benefits, while still creating an intentional experience. First, we're going to go over the benefits of procedural generation. The first benefit is that it can be a rules-based design. By developing a good algorithm, a designer can easily tweak parameters to quickly iterate and test a level. The alternative would be to hand change different parts of a level, which could take up a lot of time. Here's an example. In Minecraft, the terrain is actually based on these different parameters here. The next benefit is scalability. Think of an open world game, such as Minecraft, again, but also think of something like Legend of Zelda. Legend of Zelda, it has this big open world map, but it's completely created by designers. But that map took a really long time to make. While Minecraft, it wasn't a designer that made that. Minecraft has these giant worlds, but all it requires is a number, and then the computer calculates everything. So scalability is really nice because you can create these giant worlds without spending a whole ton of time creating them. Another scalability thing is actually that these really big worlds, such as The Legend of Zelda, they take up a lot of space. That's a lot of data. And that takes up space on a computer. So scalability is also nice because your game will take up less space on a computer. The last benefit is replayability. This is one of the most important ones, and also what most people probably think of. Since algorithms utilize randomness, each playthrough is going to be different. This keeps the game interesting for longer, and players will keep coming back for more. Think of a roguelike game, such as Slay the Spire. In Slay the Spire, it generates a different map every time, and each of these elements will have different enemies, different rewards. That's really interesting, and it has a lot of people hooked, me included. Alright, next, on to the drawbacks. So this is why you shouldn't use procedural generation for every single game. First up is difficulty changing the algorithm. Algorithms can actually be really complex and finicky. Developers do a lot of little tweaks to get everything just right to what they imagine and what they want the game to look like. The problem comes when they need to change the algorithm to incorporate new mechanics or systems. It can mess up the delicate balance the algorithm has and be a big hassle for the programmers. The next drawback is that designers have less control. With a manual approach, they can tweak any little thing they want with infinite precision. They control everything. But with procedural generation, there's a lot of randomness involved, and they can't control things as precisely. The last drawback is that sometimes it's just too much effort than it's worth. Some projects do not benefit from having procedural generation at all, such as like a story-based game, and sometimes it takes way too long to actually make a good algorithm than it would to just manually design all the levels. Okay, but how do we use procedural generation while still designing with intention and creating an experience that's fun and good. Even though we have less control, many level design rules can still be applied, such as the critical path, keys and locks, or flow and tempo. Over here is an image of a tool that the development team of Dead Cells used. As they described in one of their devlogs, each biome in the game has a general layout idea behind it. For example, in this biome, there is a fairly linear critical path that runs along the top here. There's these optional areas that go down with rewards and extra enemies. Another tip for using procedural content generation is to mix it with manually created content. Many games utilize pre-created rooms and have procedural generation decide the layout and which rooms to use in a level. Balancing manual design and procedural generation is one of the keys to a successful level. Finally, one last tip is to use AI directors. These directors are useful for controlling the flow and tempo of a game. The game Facade uses technique to create a short and super interactive experience that gave the player a lot of freedom. The AI director would control when important events would happen and dynamically respond to the situation the player has created. A similar system could be used in level design, such as in Left 4 Dead, where the AI director would control when and how many zombies spawn to make sure the player has high and low intensity movements. And lastly, here's a quick summary of the presentation. Procedural generation can provide many benefits for designers. To succeed, designers should consider what benefits it would bring their game and whether it is truly needed. Even though procedural generation limits the precision of control designers have, key level design concepts can and should still be implemented in order to create a fun and engaging experience. Alright, thank you. Here are my sources.